A butter tart is a beautiful thing. But if you don't have the time to make the pastry, well, I've got a solution for you. Make my Butter Tart Squares. They've got a shortbread base, then a chocolate walnut butter tart topping, and I've got a little special add-on that's gonna make them super fancy. But let's start with that shortbread base. 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And I am sifting my flour this time because I'm also adding icing sugar. Icing sugar always needs to be sifted. This isn't a sweet crust because the sweetness is all about that butter tart topping. So all I need is 5 tablespoons of icing sugar. Give that a quick little sift. And now for the butter, which I want to take right from the fridge. This is 3/4 cup of unsalted butter. Grating the butter in works it in quickly, and that way the butter stays cold. You could use 2 butter knives, or a pastry cutter just breaks down the large pieces into smaller ones. I've got my pan greased and lined with parchment, and then I just tip that all in. This is all set for the oven, which I've preheated to 350, and this takes about 20 minutes to set. There we go. You want to let it cool completely before you put on the butter tart layer. I have 1/2 cup of walnut pieces that are lightly toasted. I'm also using the same amount of chocolate chips, 1/2 cup. Okay, let's be honest. If a couple extra chips fall in, that's absolutely fine. I need 1 cup of brown sugar. And you can use corn syrup when you're making butter tarts, but I'll be honest, I love the flavor of maple syrup. I need 2/3 cup. And it's amazing. I've made butter tarts in over 12 countries simply because everybody knows they're Canadian. I've melted up 6 tablespoons of butter, and I'll just pour that right in. Give it a quick little whisk. And you'll see at this point, the sugar won't dissolve. That's okay, because I have my secret ingredient that helps that along. But before I add that, I have to add my 3 eggs. And these you can break into your mixture and then whisk all together. And now for the magic ingredient. 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. What this does is ensures that the sugar stays dissolved within your butter tart layer. If you were to skip the vinegar, you'd get little sugar crystals without. That's not what we're after. And I'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, I'll pour this carefully so that I don't disturb the chocolate chips and walnuts. You want to keep them in place. Just give this a second for the filling to fill in the gaps in between the chocolate chips and the walnuts. All right, it's ready for the oven. It's still set at 350, and this takes 30 to 40 minutes. Of course, you could cut these into little bite-sized squares, but to make them fancier, to serve as a plated dessert, I've got the added bonus of butter tart ice cream to make. Now, to dress up these squares, I find I like to trim away the edges. But I wouldn't dream of throwing this away. It's got that caramelized outside and that full butter tart profile in there. So I'm gonna save my scraps in a separate bowl. And now I'll cut these into dessert-sized portions. Now it's time for the butter tart ice cream, which you can take just a good quality vanilla ice cream as your base. About 2 cups in total works, but really it's up to you. I'll put this in a mixer. Now I'm going to start the mixer running, and I'll add 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, just to sort of pump up that butter tart idea. Then as it's mixing, I'll crumble in these pieces of butter tart trim. Break in those pieces. Wow. So just think about it. This ice cream has shortbread pieces, chocolate chips, walnuts, and then sort of a maple ripple throughout it. Pretty good. Now, because it's soft, you have to refreeze it. Or just go with this entire bowl, sit on the couch, and watch TV. You do want to give it a few hours to set up before you scoop away. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Right on top of those bars. I would think of a Butter Tart Square as something to have, you know, with a cup of tea, but this is a full-on plated dessert, over-the-top decadent.